At Willow Garage, safety is a primary concern. If you will be using, programming, driving, or interacting with any of our robots, we want you and the people around you to be safe. Robots do not have common sense, so when you are around any robot, you have to supply the common sense for it. The PR2 is designed for writing robot software to advance the state of robotics research. It is a mobile manipulation platform that enables researchers and developers like you to program behaviors we haven't even dreamed of yet. But because the PR2 can move around in a human environment and manipulate objects, you need to carefully monitor what it's doing, what it's interacting with, and think about the consequences. Common sense. You wouldn't let your 4-year-old play with an oven or a sharp knife. You shouldn't let him climb on a robot either. PR2 robots are not toys. Children need supervision around them. You also shouldn't program the robot to interact with dangerous devices like ovens or knives without careful supervision. You wouldn't let your infant play near a flight of steps, and at this stage in robotic development, you should keep robots away from steps as well. But in the robot's case, it's not only the robot that could get harmed. The PR2 weighs over 400 pounds and could cause serious harm to any person below on the steps. It's very important that you never let your robot get within 7 meters of a staircase. The PR2 has a run-stop button on its back and a wireless run-stop that will immediately disable the robot's motors if you push the stop button. You should always have someone ready to do this in case something goes wrong. As you use the PR2, it is important to anticipate things that could go wrong and lead to hazards. You should not depend on the control systems of the robot to work flawlessly. As you develop robotic software, things are going to go wrong. Let me give you a simple example. One of the most basic ways to use a PR2 is to drive it around with a joystick. What could possibly go wrong in this simple scenario? Well, the joystick could run out of batteries, the Bluetooth connection between the joystick and the robot could fail, the ROS node that talks to the Bluetooth driver could have been changed or have a bug, the operating system in the robot's computer could hang, the motor controller software node could fail, the motor controller board could fail, the PR2's electrical system could fail, the motor or gear train could have a problem, the wheels could have a problem, or someone else could command the robot to move without your knowledge, not to mention operator error. It's intuitive to drive a robot when it's going away from you, but when it's coming towards you, everything is reversed. Normally, when something goes wrong, it's no big deal. Maybe the robot won't move or it bumps into a wall or a table. If it won't stop, you can push the run stop button. But if the robot is in a dangerous situation, in a room full of kids crowding around it, or on the lift gate of a truck, and it suddenly goes a different way than you expected, really bad things could happen. Use common sense. Assume the robot can fail at any time, and prepare for the worst. In addition to the direct hazards posed by the robot, it can also set in motion a chain of events that can be hazardous. What you put in a robot's hand can be really dangerous. If this were an adult's foot, the result would be painful but probably not serious. You shouldn't put your foot in the way of the robot. If you do, you have yourself to blame. But if this were an infant's arm or leg, the result could be far worse than dangerous. Don't let small children be around robots. The PR2 is designed as a tool for developing robot software for research and applications. Think of it as a piece of laboratory equipment. Would you let a group of kids run and play in a chemistry lab? Robots are attractive to kids. There's no way around it. You are responsible for managing the risks if you allow kids to be anywhere around the robot. Kids don't always think through the consequences of their actions, and robots can amplify those consequences. So, you'll have to think through the consequences for them. Children should never be left alone with the robot and should always be closely supervised. The PR2 is designed to be a software developer's dream platform. Software developers should always use the robot with its covers securely in place. Ideally, you should never need to remove any of the covers, but if you do, you are introducing a whole new set of dangers and need to take extra care. Once you start taking the covers off, your personal risk is much greater. For this reason, we advise you never to remove the covers without consulting Willow Garage. The covers are there to keep your fingers out of crush points, places that could cause you pain or worse. Always keep loose hair and clothing away from exposed joints and gears. Most drivers rarely, if ever, open the hoods of their cars, and nobody in their right mind would stick their hand inside a running engine. Although the PR2 is not as powerful as an automobile, if you value your fingers, keep them out of the robot. Technicians at Willow Garage are trained never ever to put their fingers in certain holes in the robot. If you haven't been trained, keep your fingers away from all holes and gears. The internals of the PR2 also contain electrical hazards. You can be exposed to 120 volts when it is plugged in. The batteries can deliver a significant shock even when the PR2 is not plugged in. If you must work on the robot, take basic precautions like making sure the robot is unplugged and the red DC breaker switch is off. But even with the power off, simply moving the arms can cause internal mechanisms to move. The arms contain powerful springs that counterbalance the weight of the arms. Disassembling the arms could inadvertently release the stored energy of those springs, causing harm to you or those around you. Contact Willow Garage before you start on any hardware projects with the robot, whether they be maintenance or modifications. Because the robot's joints have a large range of motion, they can stress a person's joints even when the forces involved are not great. The robot is only intended to manipulate inanimate objects. Safety is not only an issue of how you operate the robot, but also the environment. You are responsible for managing the robot's environment, and you need to make sure that it can't knock over dangerous items, such as heavy items or liquids. Prevent it from coming anywhere near the top of stairs. The PR2 is designed to be operated indoors. Don't take it outside. Things like motor current limits are built into the system at many levels. Because the system is open and the software is open source, it is technically possible to change even low-level current limits, which could cause damage to the robot or increase the risk of injury. If you want to modify any of the low-level safety-critical software or firmware, consult with Willow Garage first. We could never test for all the situations you dream up. You need to think through the consequences of any changes you make and always be prepared for part of the robot to fail, including the software, electrical system, or mechanics. The PR2 has been designed to handle millions of cycles, but most objects in the environment aren't. As an example, ordinary electrical outlets are designed for hundreds or maybe thousands of insertions. The PR2 has worn out more than one outlet at Willow Garage. You should plan to regularly inspect and service objects that the robot interacts with. At Willow Garage, we take a systematic approach to safety. We have a safety board that is regularly looking for possible hazards and planning ways to avoid them. We try to make the robots as safe as possible and to communicate fully about potential hazards and how to minimize danger. This safety video is one part of that communication. The user manual is also a source of valuable safety-related information. And there are warning stickers on the robot itself. Every PR2 beta program site has a safety officer. Make sure you know who that is for your site and let them know whenever you have questions or concerns. If you do witness an incident that you feel is unsafe, please make sure it is reported either to your local safety officer or directly to Willow Garage. If you have any safety concerns or want to report a safety incident, please contact Willow Garage directly. We are really excited about all the new things that you will do with the PR2 robots. We look forward to being pleasantly surprised by new contributions to the open source robotics community. But we are also concerned for your safety. We have used sound effects and examples on this video to try to make things memorable for you. But in all seriousness, the bottom line is this. This is a large, powerful robot, and you and your organization have taken responsibility for the safety of everyone around it. Given the wrong circumstances, the PR2 could do damage. It's a heavy piece of equipment with a lot of moving parts, and the software that controls it is complex. You get to directly control the robot, modify its software, and create new applications. It is your responsibility to be safe when you do so. Please be careful when you are using the PR2 or supervising other people around it. Think through all the things that it might do. Anticipate potential problems. Maintain a safe environment. Don't let children or casual visitors near the robot without close supervision. Stay up to date on the latest safety information from Willow Garage. It will take some extra effort and attention to maximize safety, but you'll be glad you did. And you'll still be able to do great things with the PR2.